you at? What you doing?
In the bed. What's going on?
At what time of day?
Huh? It is.
Why you in the bed?
I've been working my ass off all week.
Wait, I'm jacking this up. Hold on.
Yeah, you
Why are
jacking.
you in the bed?
I've been in the bed all day because I've been working nonstop for 7 days. I've done about interviews left and right. Interviews, writing, playing peacemaker between certain players, and just it's a lot going on at one time.
So introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are.
I am Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, senior writer at Heavy.com, host of the Scoop B Radio podcast. We got 2.1 million streams on the podcast last year.
Give it up for Brandon.
Thank you. So today is a Brandon day. I ain't doing nothing.
I feel you. I wish I could say that. I got to go to work. So new development since I think we talked last. I have been filling in for the Saturday evening anchor while she's on maternity leave.
You doing it?
I'm about to go in. I got to give me some coffee though. You know how you feel yourself being a little on the slow side? You know, and I made a good breakfast. I feel myself needing some coffee, but it won't be from Starbucks.
Yeah. So I was going
to Starbucks. You're canceled for me.
So yeah, I had two questions. So are you, but pre all this Starbucks stuff going on, were you more of a Starbucks gal or a Dunkin' gal?
I was a Dunkin' gal for coffee and a Starbucks for tea.
Do you like your tea with honey, milk, sugar?
Lattes. So milk.
And what did you have for breakfast?
I had hash browns, sausage, and eggs.
Turkey sausage, beef sausage, pork sausage.
Pork. Oink, oink.
All right. Those are the only questions that I have.
It was cool seeing you yesterday evening outside the 1111 restaurant in the West Loop. You too. I don't remember which person you were, but you too. That's what's up.
I keep telling you, Tia, you are a star.
I'm not going to accept that because I don't see myself that way. But I appreciate when you say that. But I see myself as just a person who really gives a damn. Like, that's true. That's true. I just really, 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 really care. And I think sometimes it can be to a fault because my care level for other people that I don't know is so great that sometimes it causes me great anguish. It's as if I'm the mom grieving, or I'm the sister grieving, or I'm the mother, the grandmother grieving. Like, so I don't know. I think there's a word for a person like that, but I feel emotions for people that I don't know as if I knew them. And I'm sure there's some type of name for that or psychosis for that, but I think it's a gift and a curse.
You're an empath.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I feel other people's emotions, and I don't know where that came from. I didn't always feel that way, but since I've lived back in my hometown, I definitely feel that way.
And you've been around Cleveland.
So my first TV market was Flint, Michigan, to Sacramento, California, to Cleveland to Chicago. Some of the greatest experiences of my life. I wouldn't take back none of it.
Good. You're not supposed to.
None of it.
And I would imagine that it's pretty cool that you get to sit in the living rooms of people that are family, friends, people you're going to school with.
Yeah.
Like that experience is like dope. Yeah,
because I never had that. My first TV job in Flint, Michigan, so I dealt with so much racism there, which is very interesting considering that Flint has a huge population of African Americans, but racism's everywhere, obviously.
But it's the gate, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had nobody to really talk to. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't go sit at somebody's house and cry. You know, it was like, it really made me grow up. And in fact, it made me turn to my history books of who I was. Literally. Like, I would literally read history books on Black history. So I understood, like, man, at the end of the day, your words are just words, because I come from kings and queens. I come from people that rose above the craziest circumstances. So that's why that kind of crap, it don't even bother me.
And I visited Flint for the first time in October or November this fall. Clarissa Shields, the boxer.
Yeah, I remember her when she was almost a baby.
Really?
Almost a baby, yes. Yes.
I've known Clarissa for a few years, and I actually went to go support her at her fight. Except she didn't fight. There was a fight the day before the weigh-in, but I still flew out there anyway to support her.
Okay.
I understand. It's one thing to hear about Flint respectfully. It's another thing
to go there.
Yeah.
Did you meet the Durrell brothers?
Yeah, I know. Yes, I know one of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, all that. I was there when all that was like big, huge. So
yes.
Yeah. I think I interviewed not Andre Durrell, that's the oldest one. I interviewed
Anthony.
the one that doesn't box. I don't
Anthony.
think he boxes anymore. Yeah, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had him on the podcast a few months ago.
Does he still box?
I
don't really think so.
Not actively, no. No, I don't believe so.
I don't know if that was ever really Anthony's true passion. He was a ladies' man. Honestly, I think he was just following the family genes. Charge my phone.
Mm-hmm.
He was never truly like as passionate about it as his brother was. But both that's a good family. They come from good genes, for sure.
No, that's real.
So what's the gossip of the week in sports? What's the big story?
The whether or not the NBA players want to actually go back to Orlando and play.
And then what's up with the MLB having these cases of coronavirus at their facilities? What does this mean now?
A lot of those players don't want to play either.
Obviously.
And I'll say this specifically from an NBA perspective. Like, so last week there was a conference call.
Hold on. I'm going to charge it so it don't die. Stop the press.
All right.
Hold on. I don't want you to be mad at me if you hang up.
And I'm gonna go get up and look like something sitting in my backdrop. Hold on a second.
Something sitting in my backdrop.
Give me a minute.
Hold on. Stop. Drop.
Shut them down. Open up shop.
Right.
Oh no.
I need to go to Menards. That's what I need to be getting off on before I go to work today.
Yo.
Mm-hmm.
No, give me a minute.
All right, I'm waiting for you. Where we go?
All right. So
what? Damn.
My bad. Yeah.
They said, damn Tia on TV, what you got on? Oh, I got on some, I guess they're slightly risque leggings. Slightly. But I mean, I got on clothes. I don't understand. I don't understand the question. Oh, I like your backdrop.
Thank you. Shout out to Oak Rocks Leather in Portland.
I love that.
Like when we first started these lives, I was upstairs. I moved it down to the office at the crib. So a lot of my Instagram lives, I use this like when I do video interviews and stuff like that. So yeah. I
should get something like that. Brand yourself. That's important.
You should.
I should. So, okay. So you said the MLB players don't really want to go back because obviously they've had coronavirus at their facilities to have to shut down, I believe.
Right. And then you got some NBA guys. So basically the NBA voted and their owners voted to return the season July 31st. There's like a training camp, like preseason games, so to speak, and then the playoffs. So typically in the NBA, you have 8 teams in the Western Conference, 8 teams in the Eastern Conference. The top 8 teams go to the playoffs. This year, because of Corona and because it stopped, abruptly, like with almost 60, 70, almost 70 games, it changed. So basically, you have to look at it from a financial perspective. So with the contracts, you have to play at least 70 games. There's 82 games in an NBA season. So the hope with the 7 to 8 games that they play in the preseason, you get the 7, 8 games, the league gets the rest of their money from their TV sponsors, whether it's the local TV sponsors like the Bulls playing on NBC Sports Chicago, or the national games on ESPN and TNT. So long story short, the board of governors and the league voted that was the case. As it relates to the Players Association, Chris Paul is the president of the Players Association. Kyrie Irving is one of the vice presidents. Last Friday, Kyrie Irving had a conference call with players who, privately have expressed interest in not playing because they're concerned about the health. Carmelo Anthony was on that call, Donovan Mitchell, myriad of other WNBA and NBA players. As the story goes, basically Kyrie expressed an interest, and then it turned into a whole Kyrie versus the media saga. And so reading between those lines, I had to make some calls this week, tweet some things. And then Kendrick Perkins, who is a NBA vet turned TV analyst, said on ESPN, if Kyrie had the brain of a bird in his head, he'd fly backwards. So I called Kendrick the other day. Kendrick, go ahead.
That's just, okay. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So it's just, there's a lot of, it's almost like Colin Kaepernick. Is it about the flag, or is it about kneeling with the same focus on the NBA? Is it about the coronavirus, or is it about police brutality? And a lot of people within fans and certain media folks don't particularly care for Kyrie. And there are very few people who can get to him and, to get his point of view. Wink, wink. And basically, it's just been a back and forth because a lot of guys are not united. And, it's just a matter of getting to the cause of it. Is it about playing? If you start playing, do people forget about what issues are going on in the world? Should they stop it? Is it about money? Is there just a lot of layered factors?
I think the biggest issue, just on the outside looking in, I get it from the social justice portion, obviously.
Right.
But I also get it from the health portion, because you're asking me to play in an environment where, yeah, you're right, I may survive coronavirus, but I have to go home. That's dangerous.
Well, here's the other part. So these guys will be quarantined in a bubble. So Disney's Wide World of Sports would be the venue. They have a bunch of villas on that campus that teams can play at.
But you're never gonna. When are you gonna go home to see your family?
So here's the thing: players can bring certain members of their family with them. They can't bring the whole block.
Right. You can't bring your wife and all your kids.
You can, if they want to.
Most of them ain't gonna want to do that.
But you're going to be away from your family for 3 to 4 months.
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy.
And then from a media perspective, there's 3 different tiers. There's one tier where you can live in a resort by where everything is going on. You can go to a room selected, we're delegated, where you can sit and talk with players, being socially distant. And then there's another, and then you got to pay, like they may get money off this. Yeah. But at the same time, there's another tier where you can do something else. And then there's a third tier, you do something else. But, it's going to be very pricey and expensive for news organizations. Somebody asked me if I was going. I said HELL hockey sticks, no, but it's less about the price of it. It's more along the lines of your health. Yeah. I feel like you get more work done from home than you would there. That's just me.
Yeah. And I feel like you wouldn't have the back of the mind thought of getting sick. And even if you don't get sick, I don't know. It's all very difficult. It's so many variables to play out, and it's all a very difficult situation, because I'm guessing, because I did interview Wendell Carter Jr. early on when coronavirus
was my dude.
Yeah, and we were talking about how some players obviously were not going to get all of their money because of the way that their contract is written. So I'm guessing, just like how I have a contract, in some instances, if they don't hit the hardwood, if they don't play, some people ain't getting paid. So it's what do? You still got bills to pay. Yeah, you're rich, but you still got to pay people.
And people don't realize okay, so I remember my parents used to say this. So growing up, I didn't go to public school. My parents put me and my baby sister and my older sister in private school, right?
Yeah.
So it's okay, my parents are both educators, and my parents will always say, as much money is coming in, more money is going out.
Exactly.
I went to prep school, I believe at the time, it was $8,000 a year. That's $8,000
fancy stuff.
That's on top of taxes. So the point I'm making is with these comparatively, when you talk about these players, they got to pay agents. Some of them take care of their mama. Some of them take care of their daddy. Some of them have businesses. You know what I'm saying? Where they're structuring their different things. So it's like, okay, so like, if that's not coming in, then what happens? And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you remember this, but there have been 2 instances where the NBA has had a lockout. It was during the 2010-2011 season, and then it was the 98-99 NBA season. They came back both times. The 2011 season, they started on Christmas Day. That was when Derrick Rose went to LA and hit a game winner against the Lakers. And then in 98-99 season, that was the year after Michael retired. The Knicks, or rather the Spurs, won the championship that year. And I spoke to some retired players who have told me like what their schedule was like. Like, you know, there'd be times where you might have one game, say the Knicks were playing. They might play one game today, Saturday, at Madison Square Garden. The next day, they may play against the Dallas Mavericks in Dallas, and then the next night might play against the Lakers at Staples Center. Back to back to back.
Right.
So we're saying from Saturday to Monday.
That's a long time.
So to go back to the point about, and the thing about that was their diets were horrible. Like, I've spoken to some players who have said they have not picked up a ball since the last game. They haven't worked out. That's going to carry over and potentially cause some injuries. You're playing full court basketball and just not being productive. There's a lot of factors there.
Right. And in some cases, I'm guessing they probably couldn't work out. In some cases.
Yeah, because most of those, like historically, a lot of players will pick their apartments or their houses near the training facility, so it's like right there.
Right.
But some of these guys are not making LeBron James type money. Some of these guys are not making Chris Paul, maybe even Zach LaVine type money. Got to keep that local, where they may have a basketball court in their house. They may not have a gym in their house. They may live in a complex. So it's like some of these guys, they're not being active. Right.
And now you're about to put them back into basketball where they have not trained at any level in all of these months. That's a long time.
All
it takes is like, if I'm not crazy, I've heard people say all it takes is like 3 weeks to a month for you to get completely out of shape.
It's true. Like, and you know, it's funny, as we were watching the Jordan documentary, the Last Dance Bulls documentary, we say Jordan documentary, the Last Dance Bulls documentary. I was fascinated with how Michael Jordan went from retired basketball player to baseball player to months later a basketball player again, and they talked about the rhythm, how even though he was out of rhythm, he was still cooking folk. And when you look at basketball in that regard, you transitioning from playing or training for 82-game season last summer to playing, to the coronavirus hitting like in March. Like, this is after the All-Star break. This is your March. You're preparing for the next month when the playoffs start. So, you know, I think it's a situation where now people have been sitting, going to the refrigerator, and then also,
and you might be stressed out if you're in debt. Like, if your money wasn't right, you also mentally stressed out included with that.
Here's the other thing: the NBA ain't testing for any substances right now.
Oh, smoking, yeah.
I ain't no snitch.
well, you know, some people smoke. We already know that.
Yeah.
We know that. I mean, I'm sure some people doing some other stuff too. You watched the Last Dance. There's some other people doing some other stuff too. So yeah.
But like you said, money, stress, and things of that sort. Like and to go back to my point, like there were people who during both lockouts were borrowing money because they didn't have it. Mm-hmm. You count on them checks.
Yeah, you do. And I mean, for us, like the way we live is no comparison, I'm sure, to the way that they live. So my little debt to income ratio ain't nothing compared to what they making, you know? So yeah.
Some of these guys are putting their siblings and their cousins through school. There are a lot of other factors. And then sometimes just because you sign those contracts does not mean that all that money is yours.
Right. Bingo. Right. Exactly. And it was a clause, if I'm not mistaken, where in some cases the players didn't get all of their money because of the coronavirus. right?
Yeah, so basically there's a situation where I think it was like in May. So players get paid on the 1st and the 15th of every month, as opposed to most people the 15th and the 30th.
Okay.
In the
I get
NBA.
paid every week.
You'd say what?
I get paid every week.
Amen.
Every Thursday.
Amen.
God is good.
now, without being in your business, is that typical for everybody, or was that a situation just for you?
There's been jobs that I've had that is typical across the board where I work. But it has been in other cases where I've worked other places where you get paid once a month. And that was hard. Because now every time you get a paycheck, you're trying to make sure that you have enough money for the entire month. That, especially if you're not making no money, that's hard.
Right. And then, it's interesting that the reason why I asked that was because with LeBron James, when he signed his contract, his agent, Rich Paul, has a clause in his. Rich Paul is like that dude, but basically, yeah, like Rich Paul represents Anthony Davis, Chicago native. He represents John Wall, a few other people, and they got their money for the year up front.
That's how you do it, baby.
If you think about that, where we are now, damn.
But I'm sure that there was a reason why he came up with that. Maybe not thinking, obviously, coronavirus, but I'm sure there was a reason why he made sure his players got their money up front.
Yeah, I mean, the only other person...
And they're worth it.
Huh?
Everybody you mentioned, from what I just heard, was worth it. Definitely LeBron.
Yeah. Anthony Davis. All those guys. The only other person not represented by Rich Paul who got their money up front was the Brooklyn Nets' Kevin Durant. He got his money up front, too.
Okay, so, well, I can see that, the name. I can see that.
The funny thing about not funny, the ironic thing is John Wall has not played all year. If the bubble returns, because he's been hurt, if the NBA returns and they play in the bubble, he'll make his debut in Orlando.
That's so paid.
Yeah.
But do you think that's... See, I feel like that could be potentially dangerous, too, depending on the job, if you're paid up front. Because now that could come with so much pressure on you as an individual. I in their case, they're making a lot of money where I'm sure it doesn't matter. But that's a hell of a weight on your shoulders to be paid.
I'm going to use a very hood example. You're going to laugh, but I'm going to use it.
What?
It's almost like when you growing up and somebody hires a junkie for days work at your house. You never give him or her the money up front. You give them half, and so that they don't go take their lunch break and then they don't come back.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's dangerous. It's so many levels of dangerous.
Right.
And you're right. You don't give a contractor come to do some work at your house. You don't pay them up front, and all they did was put a doorknob on. You don't do it.
Yeah. And that can go outside of junkie. It can be contractor, yes.
It could be so many things.
Yes.
Because I've had contractors in my house. And I paid them, and I'm like, damn, they seem lazy right now.
And then when they come back to lunch, they taking naps. Yeah.
How many waters you need? Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, like talking contractor versus NBA player, at least you know that particular player that you've paid up front is generating the owners who were billionaires tons of money.
That's true too.
I think that's the difference between a day laborer and LeBron James. You know that LeBron James's Lakers jersey is going to sell. Hell, his Cavs jersey is still going to sell. His Heat jersey is going to still sell. You know that bobbleheads are going to sell. You know that season ticket holders are going to spend tons of money. I think that's
give it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, he does for the league now what Michael was doing years ago for the league. Very
true. And I think he's a good person.
I do too. I think you would know, you being in Cleveland.
Yeah.
What years were you there?
I was in Cleveland. Okay, let me think about this because I always get confused. I was in Cleveland from 2015 to 2017.
So you were there when they won the championship in 2016?
Yes, I was in the streets acting the fool.
There you go. I've been to Cleveland. So that means we crossed paths. I visited Cleveland in 2015. I have some friends who live at the 9 across the street from the computer.
Yeah.
The nine is where it's at.
Fun play. Oh, it's hopping all the time.
DJ
I
Steph.
couldn't live there, but I understand why some people would want to live there.
I couldn't either, but I tell you where
I'd be so distracted. What?
Where I stayed at my friend's house, when you wake, I would sleep on the couch in the living room, and when you wake up, when you open the shade, I can see the LeBron. We are all witnesses.
That's dope.
Yeah.
You know they took it down though when he left.
I know.
Yeah.
That they have good basement parties. DJ Steph Floss would spin over there.
He went to Ohio State with me.
Stop playing.
Yeah.
I had him on the podcast. He told me he used his tuition refund money to buy his turntables.
I could believe that, man. I could totally believe that. He was a hustler in college. I
believe that.
Yeah, he was a DJ in college. He
and
thought
he
thought he was all that in the bag of chips, but yeah.
He told me that the movie Juice inspired him to become a DJ.
Because I thought his major in college was business or finance.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So that's crazy. But I mean, technically, if you think about it, he's a smart businessman.
Yeah, because he aligned himself with Rich Paul. He aligned himself with LeBron.
The right people.
That's important.
All right. Well, I love you, but I gotta go.
Make that happen. Make your money, honey. Make
my money?
Yes.
Sometimes I want to, push a stroller in the mall like everybody else. Sometimes I do like everybody else. These days.
It'd be like that.
One of these days. All right, Scoop. Behave yourself. No. I don't want to do that. I want to work a pole every now and then.
All right. You're going to side it right on Instagram.
Bye.
Bye.
Be safe.
You too.